everybody. Welcome to another episode of Cosmic Conversations. I'm Marla Martenson. I'm your hostess, and today I'm here with the lovely, beautiful August Mclaughlin. Hey, August.
How
are you? Good. So, August and I were just talking before I started recording, and I was telling her about my interview that I did with Tina Louise Spalding earlier today, who channels Jesus and Mary Magdalene and Mother Mary, and it was just such a magical morning. I got to talk to Jesus, right? So, and August is like, I don't know if I can, talk to Jesus.
Yeah, that's quite an act to follow, Marla, but I'm so excited to talk to you.
Hey, you're the perfect person to follow Jesus. You look like an angel.
You're so kind. Thank you for having me again.
Yeah, so we have so much fun. So August and I both live in LA. Occasionally we get together and for lunch, and I've been on her podcast, which is fantastic. It's tell us a little bit about your podcast.
Sure. It's called Girl Boner Radio, and it's all about women's sexual empowerment, but beyond that, it's also about embracing our full selves. So it goes in all kinds of different directions, lots of different topics. I meet so many incredible people. You've joined me to talk about dating. You're going to come back to talk about your new book, and I record live every Wednesday, so people can subscribe on iTunes.
Yeah, definitely subscribe because she has such fun topics. Also, since we talk about body image and loving ourselves, I thought I'd ask August about her 1-year adventure in wearing no high heels. So tell us, for me this is a big topic because as a matchmaker, I want to match women with wonderful men. The average American male is 5'9". There's a lot of great guys out there, 5'7", 5'8", 5'9", and these guys can't get a date because women say, I wear heels all the time. I live in my heels. And even if they're 5'2", they want a guy who's 6 feet and up because they're always in their heels. So this high heels is such a big thing in our psyches. For women, it's like we have to be in heels.
It is a big part of our identity.
Right. So what made you go on this journey? You blogged about it. You had people following you on it, hashtagging doing it. So tell us a little bit about that year that you wore no heels.
Sure. So last year in May, I heard on the news that women had been turned away from Cannes Film Festival for showing up in flats.
What?
And, yeah, that was my reaction. I was really surprised. I was aggravated, of course. That made me angry because it's one thing to say, there's a dress code, we want you to look nice, whatever, but to tell people they can't wear shoes that are actually safer for you. And then my next feeling, or kind of had simultaneous reactions, I also felt envious of these women who were, I thought, brave to show up in flats, because for me, I would never have thought to wear flats. And I think if somebody had asked me to wear flats, I would have felt pretty insecure about that. And because I've been on this journey of embracing myself and embracing my body as so many others are, and we've talked about that before, I went through an eating disorder and all that, so I thought, I've done all this work, and yet I still have there's like this dangling thread of, heels. So it forced me to really think about my own relationship with height and with heels and with shoes. And so I decided, I'll just see what happens. I committed to a year. It was June 1st to June 1st. And I didn't wear any high heels or any heels for the entire year.
And Marilyn Monroe's birthday, June 1st. So the epitome of femininity, right? So you do Marilyn Monroe's birthday to June 1st. Yeah.
I love that.
So, yeah, we feel slimmer when we're kind of elongated. I feel slimmer in them somehow. Feels I don't know. Yeah, you feel like you're not dressed up or something if you're in flats. But then you were also posting things about how bad for the feet and the bones that it can be.
Yeah, they're really dangerous. Now I've made it very clear from the beginning, and I still feel very strongly about this. Women should be allowed and free to wear whatever the heck they want, right?
Right.
And I didn't want to shun other people for wearing heels at all. It was more of like a personal challenge and also kind of a social experiment. And it also led me into a lot of different research areas. And, most of us, at least for me, I knew that they caused some pain, obviously. When you're out in heels all night, you just can't wait to take them off, and maybe you're stiff the next day. And when I was modeling, there were times where they would put my feet in too small shoes. And I actually have a bunion on one foot that I know they can't happen just suddenly, but I did one particular job where I had to wear shoes that were 2 sizes too small all day long, walking up and down a runway for this photo shoot. And I swear my feet have never been the same. So I didn't realize how much discomfort they were causing me. Beyond that, I started looking at all the research, and it's incredible how many people are injured from wearing them. I've heard from so many women who have broken bones. Some have had surgery because they were wearing heels, and then they can't wear heels because their feet, because of the surgery, it's not safe for them. They offset our alignment, so our posture suffers, and we walk differently. Women are much more prone to knee arthritis than men are, and I didn't find a specific study that connected heels to that, but I personally have come to believe that there is a strong link between those two. And for me, it's like I want to live, hopefully a long and healthy life as long as I can be mobile and, all that stuff, and just to take, best care. And then I also heard from a lot of people who have disabilities or other, injuries and whatnot, where they can't wear heels, or they've been told not to wear heels, and they have felt this sort of, like you said, it's like we feel less dressed up. They felt kind of like, I'm not as sexy or attractive because I can't wear heels. Yes. And I think that's a really valuable point to really think, am I wearing heels because society has told me that this is like what I need to do? Or, can I wear shorter heels and wear them less and take care of my feet? Because I think it's a part of self-care that's really missing.
Yeah, we don't think about taking care of our feet. I mean, women in Los Angeles, everyone's always getting our mani-pedi, and we have our little flowers painted on our toes. And even I was reading an article about toxic nail polish, the chemicals on it, or wearing the fake nails, it does go, those chemicals are absorbed into the body. I used to wear the gel, and then I got a fungus, and it was the most painful thing, just horrible. And I said, never again am I wearing these nails. And I just get a manicure, and then I recently went to Whole Foods and bought some organic nail polish that doesn't have the formaldehyde or the chemicals in it. So I'm just bringing my own polish to get the mani-pedi now. So just being aware of what we're putting on our skin.
Yeah.
And the feet, we've got to take care of those feet, because they've got to take us around, hopefully, for a long time.
Yeah, I think so too. And it's interesting because there's a lot of focus on making our feet look pretty, but again, what about the health of them? And so I studied all different kinds of shoes, because even wearing super flat flats, if there's no support, they're safer in some ways, but they also could be hurtful for your feet if you're running around town and with no support. So it's also about learning what works well for your feet. So you can go to like an athletic store and ask them to do like a test to see if your feet pronate, or all the different kind of things that are unique about your own feet. Yeah. And I think that's a really interesting thing to do.
And since I've been working from home since 2010, late 2009, I'm not wearing heels. I used to work in an office, and I'd be in heels and dressed up and all that. And since now it's like 6 years, I've rarely put on a pair of heels, and now it's like, oh, they're hurting faster. I'm standing, I'm like, oh my God, can I get these things off? And
isn't that interesting when
I
you
used to be able to wear them all day? I could run in them, I could do all day in them, and now I'm just not. A couple hours, I'm like, ooh, get me out of these.
Yeah, and they say that the research shows that because your muscles have to change and your feet, the way that your feet are even shaped, change when you wear them often. So it might seem like, oh, well, I'm in less pain if I wear them after a while.
Yeah.
But actually, what you did was there was a little bit of temporary deformity or permanent. But what happens is they showed also in research that if you wear heels even for a little while, that immediately you walk a little differently. And it's interesting because just a couple of weeks ago, I tried on this pair of sandals that had a really low wedge heel. Like they were not high heels. Because high heels are anything 2 inches and up. And these were like an inch, and they had the like gradual little lift. And it was interesting because I felt really like off kilter in them, because I feel much more stable on the ground.
Yes.
Like
well, I see women walking around in these high heels. They look kind of really ridiculous. The way they're walking, sometimes they look.
It does change the way that you walk. Yeah, and
they're just hobbling.
But if you think about it, you're putting so much more pressure on the front of your feet.
Right.
So you have all these, and you have so many bones in your feet. Mm-hmm. And think about all of that, just, I think of it because I'm a writer. I thought now when I see people like in the super high stilettos, to me it's like I couldn't wear those. It would feel like I was like, think about putting your wrist in that position.
Right. Yeah.
You have to do that, and I'm like, no. It's, and some people still tell me, but you know what? Yeah, but it's worth the risks. But I just feel like make an informed decision. Like know what the risks are and do what you can to minimize them, and give yourself a trial of not wearing them as much. And what I found is it can be really empowering to. I just felt more authentic because you're more the way your body is supposed to be, I guess, arguably. And that's not to say other choices are not valid at all.
Right.
But it did for me, as somebody who really wants to be really connected to my true self. I just felt like I used to feel like it was my power suit. I put them on and I felt so much more confident. Yeah. And I remember the first time I went to the studio to do my show, I would always wear my favorite boots that had a wedge heel that were probably like 3 inches, 2.5, 3 inches. And they were never comfortable, but I felt like they gave me all this confidence.
Yes.
The first time I went in without them, I literally felt tiny. It was so weird. I thought everyone was like looking at me weird. And I'm sure it was my own perception, but I had to really work to shift that. And now I feel confident in like I'm flat on the ground.
Yeah, we're more grounded. We need to also walk in dirt or on grass because we're never touching the earth. So energetically, we need to be grounded to Mother Earth, and we're always on, in shoes or on carpet or on cement. So it's important to go out there in the yard or outside in our bare feet sometimes to connect with Earth. It's very important.
Feeling.
Yeah.
Grass between your toes like you're a kid. Yeah.
And you had taken pictures of different shoes you were wearing that were flats that were so cool and cute looking, and it forced you to be creative, in finding things.
Actually, one of the challenges was attending upscale events. And it's like, I had to really reframe my idea of what went with a dress, because
right.
I would look at these flats that were supposed to go with dresses, and I'm like, it didn't look right. Mm-hmm. And so I started to, experiment, and I would order 3 or 4 pairs of shoes from Zappos because they have free returns, and then try them all on with the dress. I've never put that much time into figuring this stuff out, but I also had this other, doing this mission, so it gave me more excitement for it. A few companies sent me shoes, which was cool. I really liked my Gladiator shoes.
Yes, I love those. Yeah.
And it was funny because I actually emceed at the Artemis Women in Action Film Festival, and I wore those shoes. They're the flattest shoes I have. And I just so happened to be on stage with literal, gladiator women. These women that were professional basketball. They were 6 feet tall, 6'3". And I was like, hello! And in the pictures, I'm like, oh, I'm so but again, it's how we feel. I think
with that comparison to others, how tall we should be or how,
totally. It is. And I think one of the things that I think is interesting for every woman to do is to look back at your own journey with height. And because I think at a certain point, most of us don't grow up thinking too much about it unless, our families put pressure on being a certain height or whatever. I didn't think about it much until I started modeling. And when an agent had told me that because I wasn't, quote, one of the taller girls, because I'm tallish, but for a model, I wasn't runway tall. And they said, well, you could create that optical illusion. They didn't say wear heels. They said if I were thinner, I'd look taller.
Oh, right.
And I thought, well, if I'm taller, I'll also look thinner. I think we internalize those messages a lot.
Yes, exactly. Well, you guys leave your comments below about how you feel about heels. And I'd love to hear it. I'd love to hear if you like heels, if you wear flats, or if you're willing to try like August did and go a year or even a week without heels. Let us know. Thanks, August.
Thanks, Marla. Bye, everyone.